What's going on, guys? It's Sam V Garage, back at it again. So today, I'm going over whether or not a Kia Stinger is daily drivable once you mod it. So I've owned mine for about a little over a year now, and I've done a variety of mods to it. So today I'm just going to go over what those mods are and how livable it is for daily driving. Alright, so the first thing I'm going over is gas mileage. So my car is actually tuned. It's just a stage 191, but typically I usually average around probably anywhere it's around 12 to 15 miles per gallon. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not great, but that's kind of what you expect when you get a performance car, especially once you tune it. So, I mean, it's livable, but definitely with these gas prices nowadays, I live in California, so it's pretty ridiculous. It's almost like it's like above $6 a gallon, so it definitely can be a little bit of a burden, but I think it's worth it for this car. Alright, so the next thing I'm going over is my exhaust. So I installed the MBRP Pro catback exhaust on this car. I still have all my cats, so it's not crazy loud or anything, but it's loud enough to where it sounds pretty aggressive and has a deep tone on the outside. That's honestly just how I like it, and there's not much drone. You can hear it from inside the vehicle, but overall the amount of drone is pretty minimal. And I mean, when I have my music on, I can barely hear it. It's kind of just in the background, but I'll put in a few clips of how it sounds from inside the cabin. It's definitely livable for daily driving. Alright, so this is with all the windows rolled up. One thing I gotta say about this car though, the turbo sounds are pretty gnarly, bro. Like, after installing the AEM intake, oh my goodness. All you can hear is constant turbo noises every pull. It's so satisfying, I gotta say. Alright, so the next thing I'm covering is the suspension and how stiff it is and the ride height. So I'm actually on Eibach Pro lowering springs, and I also installed the 20mm spacers from Car Tuners. And honestly, the ride height, it's fairly stiff. It's definitely not as comfortable as it was before I put the lowering springs on it, but it's definitely livable. Anytime I hit a bump, you really feel it, but it's not that bad. As far as ride height is concerned, so I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like crazy low, but I definitely can't be hitting no dips or going up fat inclines. I've had more than a few occasions where I try to go up like a driveway and I just can't make it. The other day, actually, I sadly cracked my front lip trying to go up some driveway. It was not ideal. I'm pretty hurt about it, honestly, but most things I do get over. Like the majority of driveways and dips and whatever, just anything to get into like restaurants and stuff like that, usually I'm fine. It's right at the perfect height where it's not too low to where I hit most things and I have to like be extremely careful everywhere I go, but I still got to be wary of it. Alright, so now I'm just going to go over more of the general things when it comes to owning and living with this car as a daily driver. So the first thing I'm talking about now is just the space that there is in the cabin. So I'm 5'11" and I fit in here just fine. I mean, I guess it's not that tall, but there's a lot of space in this car. It's a very roomy car. In the back seats as well, there's a lot of clearance for, I mean, I've had some pretty tall people in the back and they haven't had any issues with like hitting their head or anything. And actually just the width of the car, there's a lot of space for people in the back. Like I've had many people tell me that for long drives, I can have 3 people in the back and it's really not that big of a deal. Like they're not squished in there like a lot of cars. That's pretty solid in that regard. All right, and then when it comes to trunk space, this car has a ton of space for the trunk. I mean, you can fit a ton of shit in here. It's pretty crazy how much you can fit in here actually. And if you put down these back seats, oh my goodness. You get all the room you need. So at the end of the day, I'd say this car is definitely daily drivable, even when after you mod it. I mean, I wouldn't say mine's like modded out balls to the wall, but I've definitely done a significant amount of mods to it. An intake, exhaust, tune. I've lowered it. So I mean, it's pretty solid. I've had it tuned for around 7-8 months now. Haven't had many issues since I got the tune. So yeah, it's been solid. If you're on the fence about buying this car, I'd say go for it because it's a solid car all around. Sorry, I just rap cotted. But yeah, definitely go for it if you're thinking about buying this car. It's probably it's the most bang for your buck, I think. All right, thanks for watching, guys.